Hello world, I'm here, I'm on the Rega website to bring to people's attention that the all new Planner 3 has been announced for late March in 2016. Okay, now this Planner name goes right back to the 70s and 80s, back to the old Planner 2 and 3 days. Although this is a completely new remake. There are some parts on here which hark back to older models, but it's all a complete redesign. There are only two parts on the new Planner 3, which it shares with the RP3, the outgoing RP3. That's the platter and something else which I don't know. But yeah, so let's have a look at the product details here. The RB 330 tone arm is the part that to me looks probably the most interesting. Rega themselves managed to sort of attract a lot of good attention when they designed the original RB 300 for managing to get this whole tone arm in one manufacturing process with the head shell sort of as part of the integrated tone arm design. A lot of tone arms tend to have this screw on, screw off, or plug in, plug out head shell, which is convenient when you want to change cartridges, but they tend to introduce unwanted resonances into the tone arm, which you don't really want because it kind of distorts the music as it's being played. So this RB 330 tone arm. It used to be the RB 303, I believe, but now it's the RB 330. Is a complete redesign of that, but again, it looks pretty much the same as their old RB 300 tone arm. You can see the clear lineage there, and indeed you can see it even with the more advanced tone arms on the higher end models as well. Looking at my RP8 here. I can see that the tone arm is pretty much looks the same, even though it's different as my old RB 300 that was on my P3 that I had in the early noughties. What else are we saying here? So we've got this 3D CAD and CAM technology, which they've always been applauded for, as I've said. Brand new bearing housing. Extreme stability with almost friction-free movement from the new high-precision bearing assemblies guarantees to gather more information from your vinyl than ever before. Now, for me, the most interesting part is this first bullet point here, which is the new bias assembly, redesigned stiffer vertical bearing housing, integrated arm clip, and an improved spring housing with easier to read numbers, which is something that I wrote to Rega when I bought my RP8 2 Januaries ago now. I was a bit disappointed, and in fact I got into a bit of a grumpy bad mood, having to carry the box all the way up several flights of stairs, which was very heavy, getting it out and setting it up, and then finding that I had to get a flashlight out because the numbers on the tracking dial were black on black, so I had to set the tone arm up one-handedly and then kind of guess with the push-in pull-out bias assembly where the correct bias setting was, and it took me a few goes and a little bit of experimentation to get it right. That is not Rega's philosophy. Rega's philosophy is ease of setup, set it up and forget it. And I wrote to them. They sent me a very nice letter back, but they said that they got rid of the older tracking dials because they kept getting quality control issues, and it was to do with the numbering on them, which at the time was white on black. Okay, so what I would like to see on this, and I don't know because we can't see anything on the gallery here, but what I would like to see is a tone arm with a tracking dial where 1.75 grams, which is the cartridge weight that all of Rega's cartridges, or at least all of their moving magnet cartridges, track at, apart from the carbon, but you wouldn't be using a carbon on a P3 anyway. And so I would like to see that clearly marked on there. I would also like to see, and they probably haven't done it, but I would love to see on the counterweight stub thing a marking where you should place the counterweight where it's exactly floating as well, so that it takes all the guesswork out of it. So as long as you've got it on a flat level surface and you move the counterweight to a particularly marked point, and then turn the tracking dial to a clearly marked 1.75 grams, and then move the bias also to a clearly marked 1.75 grams, you've got it right for any of the Rega cartridges. That would be lovely. Obviously, you would be able to set it and configure it for other manufacturers' cartridges, but it would be lovely just for them to make it really dead easy for anyone who's never set a turntable up before to do it with no problems. So well done. At least I would hope that they'd listen to me actually, and sort of taken on board my feedback to them about having easier to read numbers. They've got a new counterweight there as well. They seem to say it's a black one. All of the ones that I've seen, in fact, looking at my RP8 again, I can see that it's a silver counterweight, so this is the black one. It's redesigned. Okay, the plinth has taken a bit of a redesign as well, and you can get a gloss white version now. It's interesting that the moniker says P3 on it. Does that say Planar 3 on there as well? It may well do. You don't get a clear close-up of that, I don't think. We'll have a look at the gallery in a second. In fact, let's go to the gallery now. Okay, let's see what we can see here. What's that one say? Oh, you're not getting to. Oh yeah, it says Planar 3 on there. It says Planar 3, and here you can clearly see, or can you? Think this is about the closest you're going to get to be able to see the markings on the new bias assembly here. It looks like the bias on the old P3 from the early noughties. My P5, which was the one above the P3, had this push in, pull out one, which they've retained for all of the RP models as well, including my RP8. I don't like it very much because you have to squint sideways to try and work out where these markings are. They're little notches that you have to try and somehow or other get right and have this thing pushed in as kind of to the correct distance. To achieve correct bias setting. This looks much easier, and hopefully it's very reliable as well. I don't like the way my website's mucking around here. So yeah, let's have a look at some complementary components that it's put with it. Oh, we're back here now. Let's have a look at some complementary components. Come on, internet. Not the gallery, dear. Let's go down here. Complementary components. Okay, so we've got the TTPSU. So the stock P3 without the advanced power supply, you still have to flick over the belt to change from 33 to 45. The TTPSU will also give you greater stability with the motor as well, so you will get an upgrade of sound for that. The turntable wall bracket, which they've had for a long time. The phono moving magnet stage. Now I wonder about that really. The phono stage on Rega's amps is actually, contrary to most amps with a phono stage on the market, it's actually very good. A lot of amps tend to have sort of a throwaway, get you started kind of phono stage, which is not the same as Rega's amps, because they make their living and their reputation rests on good vinyl replay. And so for them to put a substandard phono stage on any of their amps would be tantamount to, I suppose, market suicide, really. Yes, their phono stages are very good. So whether or not the phono moving magnet is better than the bias phono stage, the Brio 3, phono stage, I don't know. But I think you could probably get away with an Aria phono stage, especially if you've got a better amp than a Brio. Then yeah, good that the Brio has to be said. And again, They're selling the Elise 2 moving magnet cartridge, which is a lovely moving magnet cartridge. I had one on my P3 back in the noughties for ages and ages, and I absolutely loved it, absolutely adored it. But with the improvements to this Planar 3 over the RP3, I believe you could get away with using a better cartridge, possibly an Exact, or even an Afita 2. I think you at a pinch. For me, it never makes sense to spend more than the turntable itself on a cartridge, but I think that with the improvements to this Planar 3, I think you could probably get away with it. Also, Goldring do some very good moving magnet cartridges. So yeah, I think you know, you could squeeze a bit more out of this turntable if you put a better cartridge on it. But the moving magnet, the Elise 2 moving magnet, is lovely. So yeah, and I think a lot of people will just be satisfied with that. What else can we say about this? I'm wondering how close it comes to the RP6 and whether or not it will make that redundant. I don't know when or even if Rega are planning to revamp their other turntables, but my gut instinct is that this P3 or Planar 3 will give the RP6 a good run for its money. I wish them all the best with it, really. I don't know how much it's going to cost either. My guess is somewhere around about the sort of 450, maybe 475 kind of sort of place without a cartridge. You might get it as a deal for around about 600 with the cartridge on it as well, or 550 perhaps. With the cartridge on it as well, which is probably the same as the RP3 at the moment. It's annoying that Rega don't put their prices on here, or even give you a link to where you can actually get the prices from. But yeah, there's the new Planar 3 for you, and long may it last. Play vinyl. It's lovely. Bye everybody.